On this week's Leverage podcast, Nick catches up with CEO of CloudApp, Tyler Koblasa, in his mission to answer the question, how do we communicate faster? Tyler has grown CloudApp into one of the web's most popular video and image sharing platforms. Listen in to learn how his productivity tool can clearly and concisely convey a digital message in the matter of seconds.
Welcome back to the Leverage webinar series and podcast. Today we have a very special guest, the one and only Tyler Koblasa, CEO of CloudApp, which is a tool that we highly recommend. We're aggressive users of it. So welcome to the show, Tyler.
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Happy to be here.
So for those listening that don't know what CloudApp is, can you just kind of give your spiel?
So CloudApp is we call it an intelligent visual communication platform. So we let anyone quickly capture video walkthroughs, webcam recordings, screenshots, GIFs, securely upload those to the cloud, and then give you a short link that you can then share in places like Slack or in Zendesk or within email threads to engage with your customers and your team.
And I'm such a big fan. It's one of those things where you don't realize that there's a better way, because on your computer, what can you do? Command Shift F4 or 4, and it saves the screenshot to your desktop, and then you have to go and upload it somewhere. And you don't realize, it's like, oh, that's not a problem. It's easy. It's a couple clicks. But once you use your tool and it saves that URL, in the memory, and you can just do Control V and in the browser, and you have the screenshot right there. It sounds petty to save like those few seconds, but it really adds up, and it's so nice and convenient.
Yeah, no, I think it starts to become almost second nature as far as this. We call it the CloudApp Claw, which is that when someone asks a question, the whole ability to capture what's on your screen and share it with 2 keystrokes starts to be almost a new behavior pattern to get a point across faster.
Totally. It's kind of like Slack. When I first started using Slack, I was like, well, what problem is this really solving? I use email, it's fine. You don't realize that it's a problem, or you don't really walk around thinking about a better way. But then when you come across this tool, it's really a game changer, I have to say. How do you compare CloudApp to some of the other tools out there, like screencasting and stuff?
Yeah, so I think if you look at the forms of communication today, you've got all sorts of like synchronous, which would be like a real-time, Zoom session, WebEx type. Those are obviously scheduled meetings. You have to block them on the calendar, coordinate with others. And then there's all the asynchronous communication, which is for the most part, a good amount of conversations on Slack, email. If you look at professional workflows, that could be obviously any type of ticketing, whether that be Jira, how do I reproduce a bug? And most of this communication today is asynchronous. And with that in mind, like, how do you explain something? How do you avoid that miscommunication? And obviously the fastest way to do that is with an image or a video. So I think the two kind of aspects here are, can you do that in a form that is secure, so you can actually be interacting with customers with information that is going to be secure and compliant with the company, as well as looking at ways you can do this for other forms of content like GIFs, which are super helpful to embed directly in emails, and really just kind of richer form of content.
I mean, I've been using it very heavily in Process Street, process documentation automation tool, and I put you in touch recently with Vinay over there. But I find it super useful when you're trying to document a process. Being able to have annotated screenshots at each step make it so much easier to follow a process than just plain text. Also, the Command Shift A feature of CloudApp, so you can take a screenshot and do annotation, especially in the context of documenting processes, is kind of like a must-have. Like I can't imagine using Process Street without using CloudApp with it. I feel like it would only be 50% as effective without your tool.
Yeah, I think looking at any way that you can document something to explain to another human being in a kind of rich form. So like you mentioned, annotation. So obviously there have been products over the years, awesome products like Jing and Snagit. And now how do you actually do that in a almost kind of liquid form, which is just very, very fast and also shareable in the cloud? And I think as far as like documenting workflows, internal kind of HR, LMS, learning management systems, frequently asked question pages, even just kind of looking at knowledge bases. Really like the future of, whether that be online communication, whether that be in the kind of web form, is generally speaking always going to be augmented with some sort of visual content, whether that be an annotated image or more often than not, some sort of video.
Yeah, and especially more and more people are going remote, like leverage, or, we have about 80 people or so on the team fully remote. So we're living a lot in Slack. So a big part of our communication is in Slack, which involves sending screenshots of things, because that's the way that we communicate and show people. So definitely, I'm a big believer in asynchronous communication. I think it's essential for the future of work and how companies should be thinking about communicating. And your tool helps support that. So love it. What's on the roadmap? I'm just kind of curious, because I honestly can't think of any feature requests right now. So I'm kind of curious what you guys have in the backlog.
Yeah, so we just rolled out collections into a public beta. So this allows any of the content you capture to be placed into these libraries effectively. So to date, the product has been very almost ephemeral. We've had customers describe it as almost like Snapchat for work, where you share something, it's just in that time, in that moment, but being able to go back in time to find that. So with, for example, support teams, being able to really build rich libraries of content that then you might want to push into internal like onboarding for your product. So we just rolled out collections. I think the exciting areas here that we've been working with over the last year or so. To date, you can currently also search any of that content by text, by object, by color. We do that with machine learning. So if we start thinking about the future of where machine learning fits into productivity, I think we're just starting to scratch the tip of the iceberg as far as how can we be more intelligent communicators? How can we work smarter, work faster? Understand the context of where it is that we're working. So if we are looking at a screen, even for example, the Leverage podcast, we'd be able to understand different keywords and almost the associations of company names within that content. So really kind of diving deep into, it's Google's kind of pushed into the quote unquote AI form, but really just around leveraging deep learning, machine learning to understand the kind of context within your company, as well as with customers, just kind of going deeper on that kind of intelligent aspect.
Is it fair to say that you're going to be building more analytics too? So there'll be stats on how many people viewed a certain link?
Yeah, definitely. We've got definitely analytics coming, and I'd say more so on the kind of intelligence side to better understand the contents. What's embedded within that image? What's embedded within that video?
Interesting.
Rich media piece.
Huh. So like eventually I could have like a ticketing system, and people that need support because they can't figure out how to do a certain action, say in like my new tool that I'm building, it will be smart enough to understand what they're looking for and show the right screenshot automatically.
Yeah, so I mean, we definitely work closely with, for example, companies like Intercom and Drift, and looking at the kind of future of chatbots and how can knowledge bases have, obviously you have text in those, but how can those have kind of rich video content? And within that video content, obviously 30 seconds or 30 seconds of video is going to have an immense amount of information. So how does that become more accessible? So being able to suggest an index based off of whatever the contents of rich media might be.
Very cool. So I don't really know your background. Do you actually mind how about we rewind this a little bit? Can you give us a little bit of your background and how you came up with the idea of CloudApp? How long have you been working on it?
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life. So got started back in low on the, okay, see if the volume here is a little better. Is this sounding better? Got started back in tech in the mid 90s. So started coding back then, and kind of spent some time in the early kind of freemium space with regards to kind of like free hosting networks. So if anyone remembers companies like GeoCities and Tripod, we ran one of those. It was a top kind of 700 site on Alexa. And kind of as an entrepreneur, the kind of common use case here is how can you innovate faster? How can you communicate faster? Back in the day, I was interacting with designers and developers over IRC that you would almost use to find and connect with others to build technology products. And through that experience, we kind of, fast forward 1 or 2 companies later, we did another one in the kind of personal CRM space called Mingly. So it was, how could I make sure that I never fell out of touch with important contacts? And along that journey, you're constantly giving feedback to a designer, to a developer, whether that be on a marketing page, whether that be on in explaining something to a customer on the end user side. And we had, when I say we, I'd come across the company. So I wasn't the original founder of CloudApp. I had connected with Max, and who was the kind of lead designer at Heroku, who had initially kind of built CloudApp as this first kind of way to quickly capture a screenshot and share that in the cloud. And we saw that start to, as a user, see how
How many
powerful
years
that was.
ago? How many years ago was that?
This is about 4 years ago. So about 4 years ago, the product is really a kind of screenshot in the cloud service. And we started to kind of understand who those users were, connect with the CloudApp community, and understand that these are just the makers, the builders, the tastemakers that are really kind of crafting tomorrow. So this ranges from co-founders of Airbnb to founders and CEOs of MailChimp to folks like Kevin Rose to even CEO of Atlassian, and start to really build these relationships with these builders, and understood the potential here, that there was something magical happening around this kind of 2-keystroke CloudApp claw that was allowing you to communicate what's on your screen to someone else in a matter of seconds. And so we had effectively, we did an acquisition, and we at that point converted the product from a one-time purchase type license into a SaaS model, which would then allow us to start to invest in the business and start to build out a team. We went to some of our users and had connected with one of those individuals, which was Tikon Bernstrom, that founded Parse and Scribd. And through a number of our users, as well as a number of investors, we did this acquisition, raised some additional financing, brought on folks like Bloomberg Beta, which are investing in the future of work. And also most recently, the co-founder of Akamai, who joined our board last year, and really started to kind of double down and invest to build out that kind of management team. And through that journey, we've then kind of brought on thousands of different businesses onto the product, and really starting to now kind of get the word out. And that's kind of the quick summary.
Gotcha. And you're based in San Francisco, right?
Yep. The beautiful Soma.
And are you guys a remote company, or most people are there?
We're about 50% remote. So we have our headquarters here in San Francisco, and we also have a team down in Mexico, and that is on the engineering and product side. We also have a couple other support team members, one of them in Poland, one in India, as well as a couple folks up in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, we've connected with team members as users. So I think one of the lessons that we've learned here is when you have a product that is adopted by designers, developers, builders, and they use your product regularly, and if they happen to know someone, or they might be interested at a certain time to work on a product that they use, I think that's one of the joys for all of us, which is if we can work on products which we use and it becomes part of our workflow, and we can have a connection with a user or a customer and understand how it's impacted them, how it saved them time, hours in their workflow, and for the business, that's really the part that is the exciting aspect.
Now, this is for myself, but is there a way? I'm gonna use this podcast as a way to ask you questions, because there was something I did have a question on. To do a screen recording, do you have to click on the app that you install, or is there a keystroke you can do to do screen recording, not just screenshot?
Yes. So you've got the default. If you have Command-Shift-4 on a Mac, we will generally suggest that you can also automatically upload those captures to CloudApp. There's also Command-Shift-5, which allow you to capture a single screen, one keystroke. And then there's Command-Shift-6, which is video. So that's one keystroke to enable either an HD video recording with or without audio,
Gotcha.
or a GIF recording.
I missed the 6. I only ever do Command-Shift-A for the annotation, or Command-Shift-5. Are there any other secrets? I kind of feel like this is like Sega Genesis back in the day, where there's like the code breaking thing, and there's like these special codes that unlock cool features.
Yeah, another one that commonly is not understood is if you take any type of content in your clipboard, so that could be a URL, that could be a block of text, and just click on the cloud icon and then hit paste, you're going to automatically upload that and also have a link in your clipboard. So, that effectively acts as a link shortener, as well as if you have a let's say code snippet or a piece of text, maybe it could be a blurb, 2 3 sentences, or even something secure such as a password you don't want to have sitting in email sitting somewhere else that is ephemeral. You're able to securely share that, automatically destroy it after one view, or let's say 1 hour or a week. So yeah, I'd say that one isn't commonly known. And then also the ability, you can highlight multiple items in the drop down, and if you hit Command C to be able to copy those, you're going to grab 2 3 4 links. So commonly, if you go in and take number of screenshots or videos, you can then paste multiple links into somewhere like Slack, and then those will all expand and have them in line. So it really allows you to just quickly go through that capturing flow and then grab that content and then drop that into an environment that you're working.
Gotcha. So what are some of the biggest challenges right now?
Yeah, I think we are just really kind of digging into the kind of marketing, as I say, go-to-market strategy and demand gen. And as a technologist, I think you don't look at all the different plays and the how do you actually attribute marketing? Marketing. There's content, there's paid ads, there are trade shows. We just came back from the Collision conference, put on by Web Summit, as well as a couple conferences down in San Diego. One of our customers, Outreach.io, had their annual event, as well as another trade show in the kind of services support space. And looking at how do you attribute costs on marketing. So looking at this all kind of boils down from the kind of marketing ops and then into sales kind of channel pipeline. And I think we talk. Everyone talks about marketing. It's like, okay, is that going to be social? Is that going to be SEO? Is that going to be paid? But how do you actually say, here's where we're going to double down? So I think we're just in the process of really kind of digging deeper into marketing attribution and how that flows through into ultimately like sales kind of channel pipeline. Traditionally the product has served the SMBs. We have a number of enterprise organizations now at this point that we're digging more into. So looking at how do we actually reproduce that into a model that then is highly scalable.
Are you using like discount codes in order to track at those conferences?
Yeah, so we definitely offer a credit based off of the conference and trade show at hand. So, Collision, there was one, as well as for the other couple events. And, you can get some level of attribution around that. But I think the challenge here, and if you look at and you speak with different marketers from large, established organizations, it really kind of boils down to understanding like first touch and last touch. And how do you understand where they initially came from? So it might be that they go to that discount code and renew or redeem that code through that flow, but commonly it's going to be they're just going to visit your site, sign up, and it's not going to be tracked. It might be after they start the product, you've demonstrated value, that they then go back to look at, oh, there was some code here I might be interested in because I saw it at Collision.
Yeah, we have the same thing too. It's like we give talks or sponsor booths at certain things, and it's like, we do like a 1 month off coupon code usually, and that way we're able to track what was the ROI on getting a booth at a certain conference. But it isn't easy.
Yeah, no, I think just trying to understand, like, if dozens, hundreds of or thousands really kind of come through and chat with someone on your team or look at the product, how do you actually know that they came from that environment? So I think this comes back to, against, obviously, that part of it's branding, part of it's that owned, part of it's earned. Just really trying to understand what channels a new user has come through, and again, coming back to the point that more often than not, they're not actually using that redeem code up front.
Gotcha. And are there different tiers for CloudApp, like different levels where you unlock different functionality, or is it kind of just you have one plan that's
so we have our free version. Free version gets you X number of shares a month. We also then have basic limits on whether that be like size of recordings, size of files shared. In addition, you have the ability to get rid of any type of cloud app branding. So on our basic pro version or team or business, you control the branding. So that sets up the ability to have a shared custom domain for your organization. You also have the ability to then control how that content is actually accessed and who has access to it. So certain organizations might use this on a support capacity and want to make sure that that content is automatically destroyed after 30 days for compliance reasons. They also might want to have the ability to say, hey, I want to make sure this content is stored in my Amazon account. So you have the ability, you are enabling the control over where that content lives, how it's accessed, and then also tying into all the different ways to manage your organization. So that's services like Okta, One Login, obviously Google Apps authentication. Really just our goal is how can we make sure that that content is secure, accessible, and also built into that workflow. And then obviously you get into other types of kind of compliance features and other functionality.
Yeah, that's good. I'm consulting right now, doing some business efficiency consulting for a large company, and it has to be on One Login or else they won't be able to use it. All right, Arnaud posted a question. Do you see it?
Yeah, that's okay.
Is it possible to make combinations with Teams, i.e. pro, mainstream, and business level for the power users?
So to make a combination of, not fully understand the question.
Let's see, he'll clarify that. He has another question. We'll come back to that. In the context of GDPR in Europe, how long is the content available on the free plan?
So on the free plan, again, you have the ability to either delete that content or automatically destroy it. So, if you look at kind of cases like a Dropbox or a Box, you have that content. If it's your content, if you've captured it, we're not deleting it unless you destroy it or you say to automatically destroy it. As far as on the paid plans, you also have the ability to kind of configure those different policies.
Any other questions, guys?
I think that the other question, at least around kind of like thinking about kind of teams and so again, CloudApp initially has been a product that's been more on the ephemeral sharing flow where it's been one user sharing with a customer or team member. And so collections really allows individuals or team members to be able to access a shared bucket and collaborate around that. As far as how the licensing works, it really depends on what that individual seat is on. If it's on the team plan, right now we don't let you kind of splice out, this is a free user, this is a paid user. Usually if it's an organization, they want to make sure that the data is controlled and secure from the top down. And if it's a unpaid plan, you have the ability to right now join one team, but you can join multiple collections that could be created by other CloudApp users.
And what is the pricing right now?
Yeah, so pricing is around $8 or $9 a month on our kind of team or pro edition. And then if you're on business edition, that's $17 a month. And obviously business edition gets you access to the enterprise grade security systems like Okta, One Login, custom storage buckets. So around, that's the general price range. Gotcha.
So yeah, if you are a leverage client, you get the middle bucket, I believe it is, right?
I think it's
professional.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So thank you very much. We really appreciate this partnership, and it's something, again, we love your tool so much that we wanted to give that as a gift to anyone that signs up. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And let's meet up when you come to New York. I'm looking forward to being on your podcast soon.
Awesome. We are looking forward to have you.
Cool. All right. Have a good day.
All right. You take care next. Yeah. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
If you want to save seconds, minutes, even hours in your workflow, download our podcast cheat sheet with the CloudApp keystroke shortcuts at podcast.getleveraged.com. Thanks for listening to the Leverage Podcast. Leverage is a premier outsourcing platform that gives you access to a team of skilled professionals who can complete any task or project for life and business. Our goal is to help people be their most efficient and productive selves. Focus on your unique ability. Let us do the rest. Get leverage.